I always wanted to write content, and I was very interested in pop culture and celebrity. I really felt like there was a void in the marketplace. There wasn't a place that had a female point of view that was fun and friendly, so I just started writing every day. I was really excited to tell a little bit of our story, but more so to really give practical advice for people who are trying to figure out what they want to do with their own lives. I want people to know that it's okay to have to make a totally huge change, to take a risk, to start small. A lot of this book is sharing what I've learned in creating this business from scratch and now having 500 people here. You know, I didn't think that I could actually make a living from what I'm doing today. The best piece of advice I ever received was from my dad. He always told me to do what I love, you know, figure out what it was I wanted to do in my spare time and do that every day and somehow turn that into your job. There's a place for you in this big world and a job that can make you happy. You will get there. Be patient.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Sugar. I'm the founder and president of POPSUGAR, as you saw in that video. And I'm here today to talk about my mantra, which is working hard and playing nice, and how this has let me create my dream life, my dream job, and a company where we're talking to millennial women every day and powering their happy. I also want to talk about our POPSUGAR Must Have box, which Liz has mentioned before, and obviously the reason that is most relevant for me to be here today. And I'm very excited about that business, which turns 5 this August, so 5 years in the making. But first, let me give you a little context to what POPSUGAR is. For those of you who don't know, I like to describe it as a modern media company for young women, and I like to explain it as, you know, having content for everyone from my best friend Jamie, who just had her 3rd baby, who's looking for some comic relief in her day or a quick workout, to my babysitter Carrie, who's in her 20s, who's obsessed with everything from Game of Thrones and Riverdale to the latest trendy new shoes to buy. And you know, while we have a gamut of content and all different types of things, we provide our audience with stories, advice, and information every day that makes her and teaches her something new. We want to inspire them to take action, and we want them to feel like a better, stronger, happier person. So what started as a personal hobby in my living room, which I'll talk about a little bit more later and you saw in the video, has today turned into the #1 lifestyle brand for women. We have over 100 million uniques, and we create over 3 billion content views a month. So let's talk about the box. This is one of my personal babies in the business, and I am dear and true to this, and I love it so much. It's one of the reasons, obviously, I'm here today, but it is a full-size curation, which is one of the ways we differentiate ourselves in the marketplace, and it's to bring our sites to life. So we talk about fashion, food, fitness, beauty, home, and more. We want to bring all the verticals that we talk about on the sites to life through the box. We have found that we base this on delivering happiness through discovery. We want to share surprises, and my personal addiction to sharing is what has taken the extension off of our site and into the box and into people's homes. We love to work with innovative brands, and we also work with cult classics and favorites. So you don't have to be a brand that's just launching now that is new, or you know, a smaller brand. We definitely work with big, huge companies, which you'll see later on as well. The idea of the Must Have box was born from a couple reasons. One, actually just looking at the video with the Kiwi Crate, my children actually subscribed to the Kiwi Crate, and the joy that they would get every month, I was like, I want that for myself and our audience, so how do we figure out how to create that? And on top of that, we also really wanted to just get the products that we are writing about every day into our audience's hands. So our editors are getting early access to beauty products, fashion products. They're tasting food before it's in supermarkets. We get to read, you know, books before they're bound in bookstores. And what we really wanted to do was be able to curate the best of the best, put them in the boxes, and get them into their homes. We figured if we're inspiring them to take action on the site and buy things from the site, how about we just also create this sort of ultimate monthly exciting thing every month where we're saying, we love this lipstick so much, you guys should have it. So that was really, you know, the genesis of how it started 5 years ago. But now, it's so much more than just a box business for us. So while the company itself was created on content, we love the fact that we have a physical box that we can send to our consumers. We love the fact that we have another revenue stream for our business, but it really is such an extension of what POPSUGAR is. And we have gone well beyond the box. One of the things I wanted to point out was we have created luxury boxes. So we have special edition quarterly at $100. Our regular monthly is $39.95. So it's one of the higher priced boxes. We have a Neiman Marcus box at $250. So these are pretty high price points for our consumer. But it's really a way that we continue to reach out to them and get them what they want. They trust us. Our team is based in San Francisco. And we're constantly in and trying new things. I'm going to talk about some other things we've launched off of our must-have business. And as I mentioned before, we're 5 years old, so in August we're doing a best of box, which I'm really excited about. And what I originally thought was going to be a bag business, because I have a love of purses, I'm really proud of the iconic pink box that, even though we've changed actually POPSUGAR's brand colors from pink to blue, we kept pink for the must-have box because it was so fitting. And when we go talking about the Beyond the Box, we have been working with brands direct, so whether it's including products in the box, but also working with advertisers who are advertising to our audience on the POPSUGAR platform, writing content, native content, and now they can sample through the box as well, but it is very hard to get in there. And it's allowed this full funnel sales approach to be an additional revenue stream for our company. So again, not being reliant on just advertising dollars is very important in the media business, so having different revenue streams like the box is an amazing opportunity for us. And then the other thing I really love about the box, which goes beyond the box, is the connection with the Superfans. So people who just really live and breathe POPSUGAR are loving this box, and they continue to support us. We've had subscribers who have been subscribers since the beginning, and we listen to them, and we want to hear feedback constantly from them about what they love, don't love, and then they share it with everyone. So we have millions of impressions that everybody is sharing their stuff on Facebook, Instagram stories, Snapchat, and we couldn't be more thankful for the tens of millions of impressions each month that we get from this audience. I like to say it's priceless. And as for these deeper brand partners, these are just a couple of examples of brands that we've worked with. We have had a dedicated Target box. We've had a dedicated Neiman box, actually 4 years in a row for holiday, which I curate with their fashion director called Ken Downing. We worked with Victoria's Secret one month and did a special Sexy February box, which was a huge success. We have worked with Starbucks, Estee Lauder, Revlon, and Jeep. So these are big names, and again, products that I personally vet and make sure that I love as well, so that we know that our audience will love it. Being this trusted source to our audience, we've also tested additional ways to sell to them. So because on POPSUGAR, we want to inspire to take action, whatever that action may be. In this case, we're talking commerce. We have also been a tech company at heart. So I actually started this company with my husband, and he is an engineer at heart, and so he loves to build products. And we decided one day, well, how can we make it just even easier for people to shop? So building off of the Must Have brand, we launched something last month, actually. It's still brand new and in the test phase, and we're seeing great results and very excited about it, called Must Have It. And we reached out to our Must Have audience, and we asked them to give us their cell phone and let them know that we're going to start texting them an item, and all they have to do is reply yes if they want it. And we have all of their information already because we have their billing and their address and all that great stuff. So it's a simple yes, and it's another way for them to get products from us from their trusted, favorite editorial folks. So this is something that's really new and in the works, but I'm super proud of making their lives easier. All right, so to talk about some successes that we're really proud of and throw some numbers out there to show you about our must-have business. We've sold over 1 million boxes to date. We've worked with over 500 brands within the box. We have collaborated with such wonderful brands like the CFDA. We did a dedicated Coachella box for a few years, which was really successful. We've worked with Henry Bendel, Victoria's Secret I mentioned, Kate Spade. And the thing I really love about this is the numbers that you can see there. So 83% of subscribers purchased a product that they've gotten from the must-have box. And I love that number so much because obviously it's hard for brands to be able to produce enough product to go into these boxes sometimes, and we have a very small budget to work with them. So it's, we're really thankful that they are cutting costs and working with us to get into these boxes, and in hopes they get a repeat new customer. Also, 81% of them are telling friends and family about these products. So along with hopefully our audience buying more and more of their products, they're telling their friends who will hopefully buy it as well. We have a 91% customer satisfaction rating, also something that I am near and dear and true to my heart, wanting to always even get better at. Making sure that the boxes are shipped on time, things don't break, all that stuff we pay very close attention to and want to make sure that people get back, whether they're reaching out to us through the actual customer service or our Facebook page, wherever, we make sure we get back as fast as we can. And then another thing that's really important, which ties in actually to the last presentation, was our influencer marketing program. We have reached out to a bunch of influencers as well, and they've generated over 5 million in earned media value and 15 million social media impressions. So that's another great way for the brands who are in the box to get additional value out of being a partner with us. Earlier this month, the LA Times labeled us the box for it girls to keep their moms on trend. So, also additional press is just a great way to continue to stay relevant. So as you can see, I get very excited about talking about the must-have box. I'm going to come back to a little bit more detail on it. But for now, I'm going to go into Power Your Happy, which was what the video led into, and the basis of why I wrote this book in September. And this book is really the story of the genesis of POPSUGAR, as well as a lot of advice for people who are just trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. I kept getting asked the same question over and over again, which is, how did you do it? How do I get a job like yours? And these were things I was trying to figure out in my 20s as I was, just figuring life out, which is a lot of who our audience is that we talk to every day at POPSUGAR. Another thing I constantly got asked a lot was how, as an aspiring entrepreneur, how culture plays an important part of our company's values and how we keep our employees happy and our customers to come back and our readers loyal. So this is really important because it has allowed us to create businesses within our POPSUGAR's business and therefore take a gamble and a risk like launching a must-have box and have that then become a successful business within the core business, which is media. So why did I write this book? Well, I look at something like this cute shirt, and at first I'm like, oh, that's really cute, and then I was like, actually, we do. We live in this world of like, everybody hating Mondays and can't wait to get to Fridays, and that kind of made me sad. So what I wanted to try to do for both my employees and our audience was get to a place where maybe you could have a happy smile every day. And while I realized that it's pretty unrealistic to be happy 24/7, I do think that you can integrate more of what you love into your life every day, one small step at a time, and that is powering your happy. So while the final results might change your entire career, sometimes it could just make a hobby a bigger part of your life, and that will make you happier as well. In my case, it did change my career path completely, but I didn't know that going in. And regardless of your outcome and what you think it's going to be, the steps are still the same on how you would get there. In the book, I talk about how important it is to find your talent and your passion in this intersection. This is not a new concept. You will probably read this in most career books. But this is something that is actually a really daunting task, and it's hard to do. And I think a lot of people are still trying to figure their lives out, and that's okay. When I started my career, I had no idea it would end up here. And I like to talk about the fact that when I was in high school and I was a struggling student, the senior superlative for me was that I was most likely never going to leave my hometown, which was in Maryland, right outside DC. And here I am, one of the furthest away of all my classmates, 3,000 miles away. I'm up in San Francisco with a company of 350 employees. And so for that, I'm really proud of the fact that I challenged myself to find this talent and passion intersection to end up where I am today. So how did I get here? Well, you saw a little bit of it in that video, but I got some great advice, really simple advice from my dad, which was do what you love. And this is really easier said than done. But he led by example. He's in his 70s, he's still working, he loves what he does. And really, he was just super supportive of me figuring out what that was gonna be for me as, again, in school, I was usually a pretty struggling student trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I knew I loved reading, and I knew I loved writing and watching TV and things like that, but I didn't know that I could actually make a living from that in real life. So in other words, I was clueless. And first off, I wanted to always emphasize that I think it's okay to not know what you want to do when you're 6, 16, 26, and 46 and up. But as long as you just keep trying new things, you will figure it out. In my 20s, I had no grand plan for where I was going to be. I knew that I wanted a lifelong partner, I wanted a family, and I wanted to work. But other than that, this dream life that I imagined, I didn't actually know what I was going to do from day to day. And like most people in their 20s, I had a lot of crappy jobs, and I tried to look on the brighter side and take away those skills and lessons that I learned, but for the most part, I couldn't help but feel like, ooh, that. So, Jennifer Aniston. I had tears, I had terrible bosses, I had people who totally didn't appreciate the hard work that I was doing, I was undervalued, and the worst part is I was doing a job that I wasn't even passionate about. I knew I had to get out of where I was, even though, again, I was learning some great skills. Looking back, I'm very grateful for the fact that I learned a lot about company culture, I made some great lifelong friends, and at the time, when I was in advertising at the time, I loved that creative environment, but I wasn't getting to do the creative part of the job. So I knew that Excel spreadsheets did not speak my language, and I had to look for signs. What was talking to me? Well, I read every magazine I could get my hands on. I tried every beauty product that I could find. I watched late night television like no other. I started a purse collection before I could justify that I had 3 girls that I was like saving stuff up for them. And I basically knew where Matt Damon was at any given moment. But what do I do with my love for Matt Damon and blue purses? At this point, I turned to my husband. That is my husband, Brian, at the age of 6. And his favorite word is doin'. Apparently it was his first word, is doin'. And Brian he's a total doer. So when I was at this crossroads of my life trying to figure out what to do, he helped build POPSUGAR, taught me some simple HTML code, and off I went. I was writing before I went to my job, during a lunch break, and when I came home, basically until I went to bed. And he continued to teach me even to learn from the feedback. And POPSUGAR's voice was very different than what was out there. I was like your girlfriend, just talking to you, giving you advice. As opposed to at the time, magazines, which were extremely behind, our original vision was to disrupt the newsstand. They just weren't online yet, and if they were, it was very boring, or everything was really mean and snarky, and I didn't want that either. I wanted to create a very safe place for women to feel like they could come and be encouraged and find things from somebody that was a trusted person. So within 6 months, the site exploded. Within a year, we had 1 million people reading it, and that's when Brian quit his job. This was back in 2006. And he and I decided to dive in together to create this company. But it wasn't just me, and it wasn't just Brian and I. I like to say it was us and Beyonce. So I'm going to work on getting her to curate a box with us. But I talk a lot about in the book having your all-star team, whether that team is obviously the people you hire who need to be rock stars, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, or the people that you don't even know in real life, and how you can just find inspiration from other places and other people. In this case, and how I can even relate this to our box is, she says things like, I have to be really passionate in order to do something. I've turned down many things that I didn't believe in. In my case, and in thinking about this and how it's relevant for the box, is, I get asked all the time to include certain things in the box, whether they want to give it to us for free or sales wants me to push it through for some big budget, and there are a lot of times we say no. We are very passionate about making sure that the box is something the audience will love. And then I'm going to keep running because a winner don't quit on themselves. To me, this is the idea that there's a lot of competitors out there. There's people that are going to try to take us down here and there. They're going to copy our ideas, whatever it may be. But that just keeps us more on our toes and makes us want to be even more ahead of the curve and where we're going next. So really important to find that all-star team, whether you actually know them in real life or not. I even say, this is where you can look to Facebook comments. Not all of them are mean. Some of them are really great insight for you. It could be a fitness instructor, whoever it may be, find your people who talk to you, whether or not you know them in real life. And that brings me to working hard and playing nice, and my mantra and what this means, and how this has, been the core values that we've based our POPSUGAR business on. Working hard should be obvious. It doesn't feel like work. It's so effortless and fun. Here I am. I'm like, now I'm going to get teary-eyed. My daughter was born on June 1st, 2006, so tomorrow will actually be her 11th birthday. That was the first official day of our company, and I went into labor 2 weeks early. So, as usual, nothing was planned, and we just figured it out as life came along. But as far as the working hard part of this, I had Katie on a Thursday, and by that Sunday, it was the MTV Movie Awards, which at the time were a really big deal. And I really felt the need and the service to get back online for the audience. They wanted content. I loved what I was doing. She was a little angel who would just sleep on me while I worked, so that helped. But there were many scenarios where I was on vacation, and I would make sure I got stories up before I went to go run around and explore throughout the day, and found breaks in the day to make sure I got on a computer. And this is well before there's like internet in every cafe. Like, this is a long time ago. I had a best friend's bachelorette party, and the first night there, again, I'm on West Coast time, they're all East Coast, they're all sleeping. I'm in the bathroom literally transcribing an article because I had early access to a very juicy article that I knew I could be the first one to get out to my audience. And these types of things may not have seemed normal at the time, but I was really, really addicted to what I was doing. I really loved it, and I feel like if you have that true passion, that working hard should be completely effortless. And then we play nice. So what does this mean? Well, first, it's just mutual respect for the team, trying to teach my daughters that they need to be nice to people, things that you're learned in grade school that really should be reinforced in our everyday. Then I talk about it from a company perspective, and the words on the left are our values. So we have a lot. Most companies have like 3 or 4. We have a ton. But you'll see there's obviously a big theme there. We're talking about being passionate fans, kind, supportive, positive, collaborating. We're all in this together, and we make this very clear with new hires and the team when people are on it. No job is too big or too small for anyone. We celebrate big and small wins. So in the box business, it might be just nailing a month and making sure that we get such positive feedback. That's something that we just get really excited about, and we'll share it with the whole company, great wins that we've had for that business. I also like to talk about, from an industry perspective, playing nice, because there are a lot of people who are like cheating the system, and especially in the media business, there's a lot of bad tricks that people play out there. And luckily for us, a handful of those competitors and folks are actually not even in business anymore, so we stay really clean at POPSUGAR, and we think that that'll help keep us prosperous and around a lot longer than the others. So by following this approach of powering my happy, I'm grateful for the life I've created, where I'm just as excited to go to work on Monday as I am to be on the sideline at soccer on Saturday or go to a SoulCycle class on a Sunday. And as you can see from my story so far, happiness and optimism have always been my top values and key drivers in my own life. And in fact, it's also one of the drivers for why I created POPSUGAR. It's a positive place for a young audience. And Must Have is a way to deliver happiness. We look at it as another extension to deliver happiness. Happiness and optimism has been in my and POPSUGAR's DNA since day one, since we launched. What's really interesting, though, is that I didn't even know this 10 years ago when I started, but this younger generation does find that happiness and optimism is a key driver for them. So what we have found out, I'm going to talk a little bit now about our POPSUGAR audience, is that this millennial audience that we talk to, they respond to positive and optimistic voices. And in fact, happiness is the #1 value for millennials compared to Gen X and boomers, which is health. And millennials are just as likely to acknowledge the challenges ahead. They realize that there's a lot of crap around them, but they really are more optimistic about the future than Gen X and boomers. And so I know, obviously, with the day-to-day news, it may not always seem like there's a happy place, and sometimes even reading the news or reading POPSUGAR, things are a little bit more kind of what the fuck, as opposed to happiness all the time. But the truth is, we call our audience the Bright-Siders. The POPSUGAR woman really is somebody who, we like to say she's new in the driver's seat of her life. So we're talking 20s, figuring things out. They are going through their firsts together. So whether it's finally confident in a job for the first time, having her first home, first marriage, first baby, all of these really big firsts in her life. And she's kind of going through this journey with us. At the same time, she's not naive. She knows that the world isn't just rainbows and unicorns as much as she loves all of that stuff on all of our Instagrams and Facebook videos. She realizes that the road is not paved with rose petals. However, she does keep her head up, and optimism keeps her looking on the bright side. And at the core, we talk about how she wants to look good, feel good, and do good. So let's talk about her a little bit more. She's optimistic, she's full of dreams, she is ready, and she is woke. She wants happiness, her best life, and as I mentioned before, looking good, doing good, and feeling good. But she needs help, and she's not afraid to find somebody that she trusts that will be her advisor, and that will be her friend and her champion, and that is what POPSUGAR is to her. POPSUGAR is that place that she goes to know that she can get great advice, to have somebody help her throughout her day, and to, even just hacks, make life easier for her. This is why we are here for her. So, our perspective on the bright side informs our approach for both POPSUGAR editorial and Must Have, and these insights help us better serve her. Coming back to the box, really Must Have has been a great way to bring our audience joy and to power her happy, and it starts with understanding what our audience values. Must Have feeds my passion for product curation, and I'm very hands-on with each and every box. Actually, it's really just myself and Ricky, who is here with me today, who is our head merchant, that picks every single item in this box. Just the two of us. So, I've been fortunate enough to be able to include a lot of our favorite items, whether it's a Claire Vivier clutch or a Fitbit or a Chris Nation necklace. We've worked with so many great brands. And every month, I like to describe it as we have this puzzle. We have a budget, we have a theme, and we have a list of products that we've been trying to work into boxes that we know we want, that we know our audience will love. And every month, we meet obviously a lot, but it's figuring out what that monthly combination of those things are. We also work really closely with our sales team. We work to see if we can integrate a partner in, and it makes sense, and it was something that the audience will like versus it feeling forced, because we don't want to do that. We also we do a monthly survey. We send a survey out after all the boxes have been shipped. We look at all that feedback. We look at all the reviews on subscription addiction and various sites, various unboxing videos. We look at all those comments. We really know when she's had enough scarves, when she's had enough candles, when she wants a home-heavy box versus a beauty-heavy box. And we change it all up accordingly month to month so that we can give her what she wants. I am so passionate and committed to providing our subscribers with the best in every category, items I personally can't live without or can't wait to share with the world. And as a result, we've built a women's business rooted on spreading and sharing happiness. POPSUGAR's audience is not just defined in one way. She's incredibly complex, and she has many different interests, and she comes to POPSUGAR for many different reasons. She's not just a mom, just a beauty junkie, or a fitness buff. There are so many layers to her, and this is actually one of the reasons why we insist that our box covers all of these categories. She doesn't want just one dedicated thing from us. She wants it all. At POPSUGAR, our mission is to power the optimism and dreams of young women everywhere, to power her happy, whether that happiness comes through a personal essay, an inspiring video, or a monthly must-have box. And that is it. Now I get to stay up here for QA.
So Lisa,
Yeah.
So I'm curious. You were obviously such a positive person. But you also recognize that life is also a journey,
Yes.
right? And part of that journey is not only what do you say yes to, it's what do you say no to. So I'm really curious. A, do you ever say no? And how and when do you decide to say no?
Yeah, I say no a lot.
Not just to your kids. And your
not
husband,
just
by
to
the
my,
way.
I wish I could say no to my kids more than I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it really, whether it's an advertiser who wants in on a box, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, and sometimes it's a brand I really like, but they really want to be in on a certain theme, and I'm like, well, that theme is 3 months earlier, so like if we can't make it work, I can't change everything around this. And I really don't want to say no, because especially if it is a product I love or a brand I love, I want to think that there's a way we can make it work. But there are definitely times, if it's something that doesn't work for our audience and we know that, I'm not going to bend. I'm not going to make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good. So you stay true to your brand.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's a great lesson for everybody because you know what? You can't be everything to everybody.
No.
Not every box could or should be.
Yeah.
And you have to stay true.
And we have that, problem already where we do cover so many categories and we aren't dedicated in just one category. So
Right.
it gets hard.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
It's hard to pick them every month.
I'm going to ask you a quick question,
Yeah.
and then we're going to go to this one.
Okay.
So that's in your business life. So
Yes.
since this was like a business and personal discussion, how do you decide what you say no to in your personal? Because you must have so many great ideas coming to you in your own personal life.
Yeah, I think it really depends on a couple of things. Really, what do we think our audience will respond to? What gets us excited? And we've tried a lot of things and failed, and that's fine too. But what can we
That
learn
is
from
good.
that? I'm really excited about this new must have it, texting shopping.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't want just a text to say, buy this great new thing, and just say yes? Like,
Yeah.
so sometimes it's a matter of, but we need engineering resources for it, and how long are we going to let it go before we decide it's successful or not, things
Right.
like that we need to figure out, and eventually we say no to some things and we move on.
Well, we heard this morning, John mentioned in one of our presentations
Yeah.
this morning about, mobile is that frontier.
Yeah.
So how you can communicate faster and quicker through chatbots or however.
Yeah.
Okay.
My husband's theory is that all we're trying to do is set up our lives to spend more time on our phones, which is why like Uber and everything, it's like just anything you can eliminate so you're
Yeah.
always on your phone.
Yeah, well, there it is.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it will just be right on our bodies. So, okay, we had a question right here.
I just wanted to know what the relationship was between the advertiser and POPSUGAR in terms of getting to the box. Are they paying for it, or is it more of like a PR thing where they just give you product?
It does cost to be in the box, and they have to cover. Sometimes, so there's a variety of ways they can be in the box. Sometimes they are giving us product. Sometimes we are co-creating a product. Sometimes they will sponsor an item that's on theme in the product. So a really great example is Fox Empire, the show. They don't have anything that they can physically put in Fox, but they wanted to have a tune-in message when the show was coming back. And we knew that tattoos were really popular, and they kind of, are associated with music and festivals. And so we were excited because we were actually trying to figure out a way to get tattoos in the box. And so that was one of those things where we were able to say to Fox, you buy the tattoos, and we put a tune-in message that goes associated with it. Other brands, the Target one is we work with them on curating all the items. They actually pay for all the items. We take care of actually selling and shipping all the boxes. So there's a variety of ways with various partners that we have been able to just integrate and slot them into a box versus sponsoring an item versus a full-on dedicated box with them.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We have a number of questions
Okay.
that have rolled in here. We're going to start with one of them, because what we're going to do, Lisa, is we're going to go, I think, back and forth
Okay.
between business and personal.
Okay,
so this
great.
next one is about your personal. It's what are your productivity secrets, and do you have a morning routine? And while you think about that, I want to share with everybody, because we've received already so many questions. We will answer all of these questions, and we will share them through Subta and however we want to. So just because we don't get to your question, whether it's in this session or the rest of the 2 days, we will get an answer to it. So bring them on. So Lisa, let's
Yes.
take the first one.
All right, so I have a more rigid schedule than I would like. I have 3 daughters. I have a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an 11-year-old. But we have a really great morning routine. Get the kids ready the same time we're getting ready. We drop our 2 oldest off to work, and then Brian and I actually walk in from dropping the kids off to school. We walk them, and then we walk to the office, which is like a good 35-minute walk. That's where we have like our own little personal meeting, talk about anything that needs to get done, family or work related. If he's not with me, I'll make calls to the office in New York and just sort of start the day, make sure emails like already all tackled by the time I get in at 9. I also usually do try as hard as I can to block off from 9 to 10 and 12 to 1, because we're such an email-heavy culture at POPSUGAR. I need to not have anybody waiting on me, so just making sure that I can try to find times throughout the day to make sure I get everybody. I don't want to ever hold anybody up. It's like my number 1 goal at work every day.
I love that you start out walking, though.
Yeah, I need to like clear my mind
Yeah.
a little bit, feel like I'm doing some sort of exercise in some way.
We actually started at 7 a.m. today.
Yeah,
We had a
a
run
walk.
group, and cheers. I just want to give props to all those who made it down to our run this morning.
Yay!
Way to go, people. It was awesome. And
I
we
also
also
eat breakfast every morning. I'm a big breakfast
see,
person.
Mom,
Yeah.
moms are good. Great. And we have yoga tomorrow, but there you go. Okay, so now we're going to change gears back to business. So what advice do you have for new subscription companies to acquire new customers? How did you get your first customers, actually?
Yeah, well, for us, we were very lucky. We obviously had the POPSUGAR platform to launch off of. So we were able to reach out to 100 million women already through socials. We also have a program called POPSUGAR Select, which is our influencer network. So we already have a lot of folks who are in all categories: fashion, beauty, parenting, food, and we would send them boxes to see if they liked it. We work, with Liz. We know that subscription addiction is huge for that. So really just knowing the right places where this hardcore audience is, and then where the hardcore audience that you have is actually most important. Like, it may not be certain influencers. You really need to find the right place where your audience is going to be.
Okay. A quick one. Why the change of box color from blue to pink?
So the POPSUGAR changed to blue. So when we first launched the company, we were 2 shades of blue and pink. And at one point, because we were all female, everyone was like, you just should go all pink. And I'm really actually not a pink girl at all. And I'm like so all blue all the time. So I was very happy to drop pink on the site, but we had already had the pink box, and we just loved it, and we felt like it actually really was fitting for the must-have business, and we didn't want to fully lose that POPSUGAR pink that we did grow to love. It was just a little too much all over all the sites. So the sites changed to blue. The limited edition boxes we changed slightly as well to make them just more upscale and more luxe to fit what they were. But the must-have monthly will remain pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there, you heard it here. Just share with us maybe one or two of your mistakes that you made that other sub-boxes might want to avoid or think about.
Yeah, I think the hard balance here is that as I mentioned, we get really early access to a lot of stuff, and we are ahead of the trends in some cases. And so there are definitely times when you put stuff in a box where people are not ready for it. And they're like, what am I supposed to do with this little fuzzy pom-pom thing? And I'm like, trust me, everyone's going to have this on their bag in the next, 3 to 6 months.
It's so true.
But they just don't get it, and that's okay. I mean, we had emoji napkins. Like, I thought it was the best box ever. Not according to some of the feedback. And I think that's where we have to take those gambles. As Liz mentioned earlier too, the Lipstick Queen lipstick that came out in May, it was a product that wasn't going to hit until the box hit, and that is actually one of our things that we love to do the most. Have a book when it comes out the same week that it's on newsstands. Have a product when it's coming out to hit the retail stores. So, but Lipstick Queen, it is a unique product, and it's not for everyone. So people open it up and it's a yellow lipstick, you guys, but it doesn't actually go on yellow. It changes to it's like mood lipstick. So that scared a lot of people at first. So it's taking those gambles, and sometimes you just have to put yourself out there and know it's not going to be for everybody, and we will hear it when it's not. Okay, and sometimes they come around.
Okay, so I have one quick question for you to end, and then I want to share something that's a gift from you to the audience here. Liz shared earlier some of the top celebrities for boxes that would be most interested, right? But let's say that you were to get a box for business. Who would be somebody you would love from a business standpoint to curate a box for Lisa Sugar?
You mean
business leader?
A business
leader. Or somebody that you just think would have great business advice.
I mean, I'm always going to come back to Beyonce.
Okay, rock on. See, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's the
Queen
one,
bee.
yes.
And B, blue,
I think
Beyonce.
she would,
You have a thing for bees.
I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Well, blue is her favorite too, obviously.
See,
with her.
now we know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lisa and your team most generously is providing actually 400 copies of this book for the people in the room today. Power Your Happy. So those will be on the tables when you return from lunch. And at this point, I just want to say, Lisa, thank you for making the time to join us. I think we're looking at a group of people who are really excited about where we take this industry and hearing from leaders like yourself, both personally and professionally, how you get it done. Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Thank you.